So I'm Sharon Eyre and I'm vaccine injured. I had my jab on the 5th of March and like 10 days later, beware the Ides of March, I was in A&E in Barnsley Hospital. The next day they realised something was very seriously wrong with me, and I ended up going to Sheffield, which is the place I needed to go, because they discovered I got clots all over my body. They said they've never seen so many clots in one person before. They were down my legs, they went downwards, and as it happened they were arterial, so not great. I got straight, they more or less got me straight to Sheffield. I was sat on the bed, I got my gown on, I was being booked in when my left leg started to clot off and I watched my foot drop. And I understand these things because I worked in an operating theatre. So I watched my leg go down and die, and I'd started screaming because I just needed help. Then my right leg joined in, and then they came and they said, you've got 10 minutes and we'll go to theatre. I was like, I haven't got 10 minutes, get me into theatre. Anyway, I woke up, I was shocked. I woke up 6 days later in the ITU when they decided to wake me up, when it was safe to wake me up. And during that time a whole load of things happened because I've read my notes. Then I was put onto the ward. Then I had to like learn to walk again and do all these things.
How long did that take?
So I was admitted on the 16th, and then on the 1st of April, I think it was the day before I'd had a split skin graft, and he came and he didn't believe it was vaccine induced. He said it was atherosclerosis. Ridiculous man. He'd also given me a death sentence by saying the clots had moved, there were more, and there was nothing that anybody could do. But another consultant that I talked to about it went and looked at the scan and said he's looked at a before scan before you got to this hospital, and he's looked at an after scan after you've had your surgery. Of course they're displaced because of what's happened. They've been pulling them out, and we're still making more. But it's stopped. It's definitely stopped because we're watching your numbers come down. So that made me feel better.
Oof.
So he kicked me out on the 1st after my split skin graft. I was back in the same day, April the 1st, ever the fool. Bank holiday, so nobody sort of come really near me. But in that short journey home, my legs swelled up because and I went home with a drain as well, carrying my drain. I know, great. I could hardly walk around crutches and whatever. So I went back in because of the pain. They left me unattended all night, and then they took me back up to the ward on the 2nd, and I stayed in till the 18th of April. So obviously that was a wrong discharge. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. I've made amazing progress because people did come round and try and help me. They tried to get me through the system to get me physiotherapists and stuff like that. And people did work. There were some people that worked very hard. So I'm forever grateful to the people in the ITU because they worked out that it was like a heparin-induced thrombosis and thrombocytopenia, and they put me on that pathway to treat it. So I lived because they went for the cause as well as treating the symptoms. And the thing that hurts me, so many people died afterwards. They died because they suppressed information. The haematologists were good, they had a WhatsApp group all over the place, and they were keeping people updated. But everybody else, it was like either strong denial or like, we're not passing this information on. And I really feel there'd be more people here today if they recognised it and they went for the cause and treated the cause. The people that died, they treated the symptoms. And that's really, I don't think I'll ever move past it. That's it.
Are you left with any permanent effects?
Yeah, I've got peripheral arterial disease. I have fibromyalgia, I've got tinnitus.
Could you explain what those mean? Sorry.
Yeah, so it's tinnitus, I've got like a pounding in my ear, you see it. And then I have like a high-pitched noise, so I've got two, which I use white noise or brown noise up high to counteract it. It works for me. I've got poor arteries because my clots were in my arteries and they've had to put things down, and because they went in through my groin area, down each leg. So they fished out the relevant clots there. And then the back of my leg, I've got one of the popliteal artery from the knee down to the ankle is completely blocked with a blood clot that will probably never shift. And I always wonder if it's one of those things that John O'Looney shows, if I've got one of those stuck down there. It causes a condition called intermittent claudication. So when I walk, sometimes I don't get enough oxygen down that leg. I have to stop and then reboot it and go off. And I've got a bit of a hole in this leg because they had to split them open. They had to do an operation called a fasciotomy because the pressure was so great on the blood vessels that the blood couldn't get through. So they literally stick a scalpel in and they just like open your legs up, and that relieves the pressure. So they've closed one side but they can't close the other side. So I've got like a layer of skin, a split skin graft on, looked straight over the muscle. So I don't fare very well in cold because the cold gets in and it's like having a block of ice on the inside of my leg. It's a bit weird, but you know, I shut down quite a lot in winter, but this weather I like it because like I can cope with it. There are other things, like I believe that I went from being an asthmatic and barely used an inhaler. So it was exacerbated so much that September 26th last year I was admitted with respiratory distress. I was very, very ill. I was stayed in for 5 days because I had some sort of weird bad asthma attack. And I think that my immune system and I think that my breathing system has been badly affected by all this. I don't think that it's just blood and blood clots because it's arterial blood. It gets all around your body. So I just think that that's my unlucky legacy, really. No pun intended.
And have you had any support or compensation for any of this?
There's been 180 people being awarded the EDSA, and I'm one of them. So they've actually looked at it very, very closely.
So the government's officially recognised?
Yeah, I've been officially recognised it fairly recently, a few months ago. But interestingly enough, my vascular surgeon who sacked me from Sheffield because I wouldn't take statins and I wouldn't do as I was told. Then I ended up, I went to Leeds where I used to work, and I've ended up under a vascular professor there. And I'm very, very cross because I've looked at my notes because he sent me a letter and he's changed somehow my vaccine-induced thrombosis and thrombocytopenia, which is a vaccine-induced, that's the clue to the cause, blood clots, and then all my platelets were like just disappeared and dropped dangerously low. He's changed it to complex COVID thrombosis.
Oh, wow.
So I've written to him to clarify it. I told him when he introduced me as one of those rare people who had an ITU stay with COVID and made it out alive, right? And I went, no, I have to stop you now, And I said to his registrar or whoever she was, I'm vaccine injured. So now I walk around, I've got about half a dozen, maybe 10 different vaccine injured t-shirts. I wear them now to my appointments. I wear them when I go on the market. And it's really good because people come over and talk to me and ask me about it.
How many people have you had come up to you since you started wearing them?
Dozens. And when I've been in hospital, nurses come.
And those are people who've been injured, is that mostly?
Well, they know people that's been injured or they themselves, but they wondered. So it's quite interesting really because one of the things I insisted on before I got into the ambulance is that I went and got my COVID vaccine t-shirts, or at least 2 of them. So I didn't think I'd be in long. And I put it on and I went in and then I kept it on. So people, nurses, a couple of them came and had a chat to me about it. And I was in a side room on my own so they could talk freely. And my friend said, that's because you've got them t-shirts on. Anyway, and they told me the stories, and the people on the market tell me stories, and people on the train tell me stories. They all start with the same thing. When I had my vaccine, X, Y, Z happened. I go to the doctors and he's told me, or she's told me, it's not the vaccine. They start with the same. Once upon a time I had my vaccine and it wasn't the vaccine that caused it. I find that quite interesting because they believe the doctors, but I think I've persuaded some that actually that vaccine damaged.
And the nurses, they agreed with you, and did they say they'd seen this happening?
Some of them did, yeah. Them that wanted to talk because they wanted information about why they think, one of them, why she thought her father might have died, and another one wanted information on another relative. Did I think it could be this? Just out of curiosity sort of thing. But interestingly enough, none of them were having any more COVID jabs. None of them.
And they were scared?
I've yet to meet a nurse that wants a COVID jab.
And the nurses were scared to talk, were they?
Well, they talk freely with me, but if I tried to instigate, if I tried to start a conversation off with the consultant respiratories, for example, who was a very nice chap, he kind of listened, but he didn't buy into it, he didn't engage on it at all. And the sad thing is that my best friend, who I loved very, very much, she we're not good friends anymore, because she took it all very badly, but she's a massive believer. I think she's on jab 8. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, you lose friends, not great, but you make some really fabulous new ones.
And out of all the people to whom you've spoken, have any who said they've been injured or think they've been injured also been awarded compensation?
Yeah. Oh, one lad that's not here, that's the only one I know. Wayne, they've said it's not, they've decided Wayne's not eligible for whatever reason, even though he was a fit fella before that, a childhood illness.
And how much is the compensation, may I ask?
It's £120,000. It's either a yes or a no. It's nothing staggered. I could have earned that by working, because I retired at 60. I worked in a very busy operating theatre. I took a year out. In the March I was kind of thinking I'll go back early. I got offered the jab early because I'm a carer for my son, and they wanted all carers, as you know, to get jabbed, and actually I quite looked forward to it. I embraced it, I wanted it doing, so I thought it was a good thing. Anyway, you live and learn if you're lucky. So I had my jab, and like I say, within 10 days I was in A&E, but I had a bit of a build-up. And I wrote to my MP, he forwarded the letter to the health minister. It took a long time for that to get back. But the thing that upset me is when he responded, there were reams and reams of safe and effective, reams of it. And I actually pulled him up, because when he knocked at my door, he wished he hadn't, and told him about it and said, like, why, and he was like, well, it's on the system, it's very difficult to do it individually.
But they lied.
On the system.
They
And
lied.
that's what I said. It's not safe. I'm living proof. I have doctor friends who wanted to debate it. When it was all over, we'll explain to you why it's safe. And I was like, because we understand the science. And I just said, I am the science. I'm the science. It's not safe. It's like being a virgin. You're either a virgin or you're not. It's either safe or it's not. It can be partially safe, or it can be marginally safe, but it can't be safe if you've got one issue with it, one person, because it's an is or an isn't thing. I feel anyway.
And did you feel pressured to take it?
Oh yeah, but coerced I think is the right, I thought it was the right, I bought into it. I actually did a couple of tried to do some vaccine investigations to show I was learning to go back to work and understood these things, and nothing was said about COVID vaccines would actually kill me.
Do you know that the manufacturers have been given immunity?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I've decided now, well, at the time I thought it's because, they're giving it for, knockdown prices, so it's a bit, whatever. I just thought, they know what they're doing. There's no fool like an old fool. And so I kind of bought into it, but now, since they've actually been forced to release some of the paperwork because it's been decided that there's some discrepancies, I believe there's 5 states in America that have just started to sue Pfizer because of the lies, the suppression that they've been told, and they've highlighted it. So I think Pfizer best get ready.
What do you think should happen to the people who are responsible for rolling this out and deceiving people and coercing people?
I think, so I understand that just one example is transplant people. The transplant teams, coordination, the powers that be, can't think of the word, sorry, but they sent an email around to every single transplant team, I believe, outlining the fact that people who had had vaccines were not doing very well after a transplant. Now, in NHS terms, that means they're dead. When you don't do well, you're dead. or it's not awfully successful, it don't work. It's just NHS speak. So knowing that was suppressed, that was never allowed out. The people there were told, you know, this is between us, we'll make the proper selections or whatever. Yet elsewhere, people were dying because they wouldn't have the vaccine, and they let them die. And I just think that the people who are responsible, we live in a society where nobody's accountable, that makes decisions. I think decision makers should be held accountable, they should be held responsible, because while they're giving out, I mean, they've been getting peerages and titles and extra money, they're going to take that for being right, and they take what comes with being wrong. So I think they should be put in a court. I think they should be charged. And I think, you know, like everything that they've earned from whatever, that goes. I think punitively, we live in a punitive society, but that unfortunately doesn't seem to apply across the board. I think that is the way forward for people to understand that you cannot lie to people and take the money or use their money to further your own ends. Why would you do it? Greedy bastards.
Where can people find you to hear more about your story, or any other people you're in contact with?
I belong to Truth Be Told, which is run by Fiona Hines, which is an excellent organisation. I belong to the UKCV, which is a charitable organisation now, and they've got a lovely sort of ideology of care and believing in people. And I belong to Vibook. I know Vibook people, so I try and stay within the agencies, but I'm on Facebook. I'm on lots of other things, but I don't really go on them. I'm on Telegraph apparently, and I'm on all the other things, so I'm about.